To General Motors for its delayed recall over a faulty ignition switch. The Transportation Department has imposed a $35 million fine on the auto giant. It might have been more, but that's the top fine the agency can levy. Mark Albert is in our Washington bureau this morning with more on this. Mark, good morning.
Good morning. The U.S. Department of Transportation says GM will be subjected to unprecedented oversight and must make internal changes to prevent further violations. The settlement came on the same week GM recalled yet more calls for defects, bringing the total to more than 11 million vehicles just this year. For GM, it's been a rough 48 hours. 5 recalls capped off by a public flogging.
What GM did was break the law. They failed to meet their public safety obligations. And today they have admitted as much.
Secretary of Transportation Anthony Foxx announced Friday the automaker will pay $35 million, the maximum civil penalty allowed, for delaying the recall of millions of cars with faulty ignition switches, which can cause critical safety systems to stop working. The company says 13 deaths are connected to ignition switch problems. GM first knew about them in 2001 and knew as early as 2009 it could disable airbags. Instead of telling the government within the required 5 days, though, GM waited years.
GM engineers knew about the defect. GM investigators knew about the defect. GM lawyers knew about the defect. But GM did not act to protect Americans from that defect.
The agreement requires increased government oversight and significant and wide-ranging internal changes. But some members of Congress think the civil penalty does not go far enough. At GM, it's less than 1 day of revenue.
$35 million is too low of a fine. It's a parking ticket. We have to change the law so that the fine can be 5 times or 10 times greater than this fine is, just so a message is sent that it can never again happen.
Secretary Foxx is calling on Congress to raise the penalty nearly tenfold, from $35 million to $300 million. In a statement, GM CEO Mary Barra said GM's ultimate goal is to create an exemplary process and produce the safest cars for our customers. They deserve no less. Jeff?
Mark Albert, thank you very much.